So yes, day 2 of the Romford Film Festival 2025, and we have just had the short film session number 2 in an eclectic group of shorts. One of my favourite group of shorts because there's a nice bit of humour in there as well with some serious stuff. So I like to get to know our filmmakers a little bit more, but I like to do it in a little bit of a different way. So we've got 3 people here. Back in the good old days of the video shop, you used to get your 3 for 2 selections. There was always a deal on. What movie would you guys put in a 3 for 2, one each? What movie would you put in there for the perfect film night that also inspired you as a filmmaker?
Brilliant.
Okay, I'll go with quite a new film, Another Round, Drunk.
Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Yeah,
That was great.
and this one, like, it had influence on Yellow Ticket as well to some extent. I really love this film. It's so good, so good.
I sat here just now thinking, I'm going to say Raging Bull. I'm going to say Raging Bull. And I changed my mind because the only time I've ever gone to a quote-along film was Flash Gordon, because I grew up on Flash Gordon, the Sam Jones movie, and I love it. And it would always be in my top 3 for that, like, bit of cheese. Yeah.
What's a quote along?
So basically, it was a Prince Edward cinema. And basically, you could go along and people dressed up as Hawkmen and Flash Gordons. And me and my mate is a security alarm fitter. He finished work, met me in Leicester Square. We went and we got there and my mate was like, I ain't going in. Not if they're looking. I'm not going in. And we went in and we quoted everyone out the cinema. We knew this film so well. I was getting patted on the back by Hawkmen and merciless means.
So that's of course how to die.
And life has just never got as good as that.
It's never got. Well, it did. Yeah, no, it's never got as good as that. No.
Right. So your movies, fantastic movies, 2 very different movies as well. So it's nice to get a little juxtaposition with this Q&A. Where did the initial idea, the initial spark for your shorts come from, and why was this a project or a story that you guys wanted to tell?
Yeah. Okay. So this story, Yellow Ticket, is very loosely based on my high school experience. I would read books. I hated reading, really. Was always a maths person. And one day we had a lesson and our teacher read one of the chapters from Crime and Punishment. And he did it very passionately. And it kind of made me picking up the book. I picked it up, I read it, and then I read another Dostoevsky's book, and I really like, he became my favorite author, basically. And I was thinking about, like, the project that I want to do as a proof of concept for a feature that, like, talks about things that passionate me, that makes me passionate about, like, someone fighting with institution, so to speak. And yeah, that's the idea. We'll be developing this story into a feature film that talks about, like, what happens on the morning of the day and the aftermath of that lesson, what pushed him into the direction. So yeah.
I do love the fact that you didn't really like reading, then got really into Dostoevsky.
Yeah.
That's quite like we go from 0 to there's no point.
Yeah, the easiest lecture we can pick up, right? Yeah.
And then René, what drew you to this character, this Yellow Ticket character? What made you want to play this, and what kind of qualities did you feel like you possessed that you could portray this character?
Peter touched base with me. I'm in London. Peter's in Poland. We found each other and asked me to read it. I read the script, loved the script, made a cup of tea, read it again, phoned my agent, said, I love it. She read it and said, I think you should do it. I then set about reading Crime and Punishment, which I tried to do, 30 years ago. And it just didn't resonate, and I couldn't get through the book, as so many people have tried in the past. But this time I gave myself 2 weeks to read the book. I had a small child at the time, who's getting a bit bigger. So I gave myself from 5 in the morning till 6, that hour, alone in the front room, everything locked and closed and no interruptions. And I'd read for an hour every day, and it took me 2 weeks. And if I didn't quite grasp what was going on, I'd go back and reread. And then once I read it, it just got me. And it resonated in so many ways. Loved the story, loved the character, Raskolnikov. and the rest that's it. And we met, we did a lot of Zoom chats and a lot of Zoom readings and things, and then we went over and we shot it in 5 days, 4 days. Three, blimey, felt like a lifetime.
Yeah,
3 days. Yeah. But I loved it.
There's a lot of dialogue in both these shorts as well, for very different ways as well. Is there any particular line in these shorts that, number one, you loved delivering? Like, you're just so proud of how you delivered it, how it looks up on the screen, but also how it was written, that you're particularly proud of?
A line or a moment in the film?
For you as an actor, it could be a moment, but like a line in particular that, you couldn't wait to deliver, and when you did deliver it, it's like, man, that was awesome.
I didn't realise at the time it would be the line, but I watch it now and it resonates now, and with other people have gone, make me care.
Right.
Isn't that important in life, to just make me care?
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that he says. And being a teacher, it's quite ambiguous, make me care.
Yeah, I second that. Yeah, I second that. There are a lot of lines I like, but I'm biased, of course. So, but make me care is kind of the reason why he's doing all of it. And in a way, the young boy does succeed with that. He makes him care.
Yeah.
And that line also was, I think it was interesting for me from like the directorial point of view, because we did it a few ways. And in the first edit, I had it set in a very dramatic way. The first few takes we did with that was like René like really going like very strongly about like make me care, like he was really articulating it. But in the end, I made a decision to actually take a step back and make the delivery line, make that line being delivered in a very articulated but slowly and deliberate way. And in my opinion, it works so much better, because like if you're after someone who's almost going like manic, full maniac almost, right? You don't. I think that the strongest choice is to actually restrain a little bit, and to have him being very controlled with the way he says it.
Mm-hmm. And on Yellow Ticket, was there anything that you guys filmed that in the end just didn't quite make the final cut, but you wish had?
No, not really. Not really. We lost a few lines here and there, but only a few, and not really. I mean, they were just useless, to be honest. Yeah. Like they didn't like move anything forward, so we lost a few lines. But realistically, like 3 sentences, I guess. That's all we lost. So, yeah, pretty much as scripted. Sorry, that's a lame answer, I know.
So, we're going to move out to any audience questions. Do we have anybody out in the audience who wants to? We don't have a mic for you though, so you will have to throw your voice. Do we have anybody? Yeah.
The yellow ticket. That smile at the end. That threw me. I thought, was it because the whole performance in the classroom was prepared?
My thinking behind this ending is that I wanted it to make it ambiguous on purpose, because the whole point of the film, at least in this format, again, like it's a proof of concept for a bigger story. So in the bigger story, we actually do address this smile a little bit more, and we explored like what it could have meant and stuff like that. But for this story, for the short film, the whole point was kind of to face the question of what makes someone a good teacher, a good educator. And I think it's a more complicated question that it seems on the surface. I had a few great teachers on my path, and they were very different. One of them was that woman was she would call me names and stuff like that, but she has done it to motivate me, and actually, weirdly, it worked for me. So, like, the question of what makes a good teacher is not an easy one to answer for me, at least. That's what I think, and that's what I wanted to kind of like that's the question that I wanted to plant in viewer's mind. What makes a great teacher? So he smiles to kind of give you that ambiguity, and to leave you ponder about it. Yeah.
And we start with her, his relationship with her.
Yeah.
The other. So and she talks of his creative classes. If you got it all prepared, and finishes with kind of like a reaction to that, and it kind of for me brings it full circle. But again, keeping it ambiguous. Is there something to suggest that there is a mutual respect, but also is it a complete setup, the class, the actual performance?
Yeah, and like, the thing is that I wanted the audience to kind of question it if he's doing it on purpose, if it's deliberate or not. And some people say, yeah, it was pre-planned from the very beginning, all of it. I know what's my answer as a writer, right? And in my opinion, it was planned to a certain extent. It was, but there was a point where it goes off the rail. And he honestly, he was a great teacher, but he is a great teacher, but he just crossed the line.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, how much of it was deliberate was kind of the question that we also wanted the audience to kind of like decide on their own. Yeah.
Anyone else got one there yet?
Hi. So I have experience teaching in like film festivals and stuff. So I relate a lot to the film in regards to just students who do not care.
Yeah.
Who do not play a game, and it can be very hard to teach. I was wondering, like, do you have experience like teaching students, or where did that come from? The frustration, I suppose. Yeah.
So one of the main maddest things for me was that out of cut, like obviously speaking for every actor, before COVID, you had a career and it was going a certain way, and then after COVID, things could change completely. And I found myself in education. A friend suggested, "Why don't you teach drama?" So I started doing a bit of teaching. And the one thing that really frustrated me teaching teenagers was that I didn't speak the same language anymore. So they would come in and have these little sort of urban conversations and these little connections and social media. And I was so removed from it and I didn't get it. And so I was always, in my head, I was always fighting. And I've written something since that to sort of try and explains how you communicate, how to sort of move forward and communicate. But then the script came through and I read it, and it's about, and it was sort of to try and reach out, and especially that main character who just didn't want to listen, and how you would approach it. Not that what I've written is in any way like that, but I found myself in teaching and it was frustrating. So I kind of connected the two for me. Yeah.
Yeah, and educating has always been part of my life. When I was like 15, I think I was giving, lessons to younger kids and stuff like that. And also like, my friends from the class or whatever. So I was always educating, and I'm educating online as well. So it has been part of my life, definitely. But also just like, kind of like, any subject can be interesting. And it all depends on the teacher. It all depends on the teacher, right? Yeah, you can have the most interesting subject and it can be ruined by someone just not doing it properly, right? For example, my nephew, he hasn't had a single experiment during his chemistry and physics education. How? How is that possible? Like, how can you be interested in the subject if you haven't seen it applied in real life at all, right? I had a great luck of having teachers in those subjects that were very hands-on and would let me do things that, honestly, these days, my goodness, they would go to jail for it. Seriously, I had access to like all the chemicals at school, to everything because my teacher liked me. And
Great.
And my goodness, the things we've done, like I can't say it with camera, Yeah.
So I'm going to round out, but first of all, thank you for letting us show these shorts today up on the big screen. Thank you for being here. But the last question that I would like to give you is, if you could cast any one random and probably completely unnecessary historical figure in this movie, who would you put in there?
Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash.
Nice.
Seriously, yeah. I love Johnny Cash. Like it's one of those people that if it's kind of a famous question, like who if you could, who would you invite for a dinner or something like that, right? So it would be Johnny Cash in my case, because like the passion in his life and the way he was dealing with both the dark side and the light, the bright side of his life, just it has always been a very something that I always loved exploring on my own as well, and like so Johnny Cash.
Yeah, if I had never have read the script, I could quite easily see Brian Blessed playing my character.
Is that just so you could put more Flash Gordon?
Correct. With wings. Yeah.
Right, folks. Thank you so much for submitting your
Thank
films to the
Thank you.
festival. Thank you for letting us show them up here. And most of all, thanks for being here and taking part of my silly questions. Thank you.
Brilliant.
No worries.
Very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you so much.